The wind howled like a wounded animal as I stared out the cabin window. Snow piled against the glass, obscuring everything beyond a few feet. My phone showed no bars, we were completely cut off. "The generator's dead," Lisa said, her voice tight with worry. She stood in the doorway, my best friend's mom, looking nothing like the confident woman I'd known for years. "And I just checked the thermometer. It's dropping fast." I nodded, trying to hide my growing panic. What had started as a quick trip to close up her family's mountain cabin before winter had turned into a nightmare when the storm hit without warning. "We might have a bigger problem," I said, pointing to the corner where melted snow was seeping through the ceiling. "I think part of the roof gave way." Lisa's eyes widened. She moved closer, her shoulder brushing mine, sending an unexpected jolt through my body. Our breath fogged in the rapidly cooling air. "Jake," she whispered, her voice suddenly different, "we need to share body heat." I froze, unable to process her words as something crashed loudly outside, shaking the entire cabin. 3 hours earlier, everything had been normal. Well, as normal as it could be when you're alone with your best friend's mom. "Thanks for helping me close up the cabin, Jake," Lisa had said as we drove up the winding mountain road. "Matt would have come, but with his new job in Seattle." "No problem," I'd replied, trying to sound casual. "What are friends for?" The truth was more complicated. I'd been in love with Lisa since I was 16, not the teenage crush kind of love, but the deep, aching kind that never quite goes away. At 35, she was 13 years older than me, beautiful in that effortless way that made her stand out in our small Colorado town. She'd been divorced from Matt's dad for years, but I'd never had the courage to see her as anything but my best friend's mom. The weather report had mentioned a chance of snow, but nothing serious. We'd planned to winterize the pipes, cover the furniture, and be back in town by dinner. Then the sky darkened. The first flakes were fat and lazy, almost pretty. Within an hour, we couldn't see the road. "We should wait it out," Lisa had decided. "The cabin has emergency supplies." Now, with the generator failed and part of the roof compromised, waiting it out had become a fight for survival. "What was that?" I asked, moving toward the door after the crash. "Don't open it." Lisa grabbed my arm. The wind could blow more snow in. I peered through the window instead. "I think a tree branch hit the porch. It's getting worse out there." The temperature inside the cabin was plummeting. I could see my breath now, clouding in front of my face. The light was fading fast, it was barely 4 p.m., but the storm had turned the sky nearly black. "We need to conserve heat," Lisa said, her practical nature taking over. "There are some emergency blankets in the closet. And we should move away from the windows." I nodded, trying not to think about her earlier comment about sharing body heat. It was the logical solution, nothing more. People did it in survival situations all the time. We gathered what supplies we could find: blankets, candles, matches, a battery-powered radio that picked up nothing but static. The cabin had a fireplace, but the wood was outside in the shed, unreachable in the blizzard. "At least we have water," I said, turning on the tap. Nothing came out. Or not. Lisa's face fell. "The pipes must have frozen already." I checked my watch, 6 p.m. The temperature outside had dropped to -15 according to the old thermometer on the wall, and inside it wasn't much better. My fingers were starting to feel numb. "Jake," Lisa said quietly, "I need to tell you something. If we don't make it through this..." The remaining lights flickered once, twice, and then went out completely, plunging us into darkness. We huddled in the center of the main room, away from the windows and the leaking corner. I'd found some candles, casting just enough light to see Lisa's face. She looked younger somehow, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen before. "You were saying?" I prompted, remembering she'd been about to tell me something. She shook her head. "It doesn't matter now. But something in her voice told me it did matter. A lot. We sat side by side, wrapped in separate blankets at first, shivering as the temperature continued to drop. The wind screamed around the cabin, finding every crack and crevice. "This isn't working," Lisa finally said. "We need to." She hesitated. "Share body heat," I finished for her. She nodded, not meeting my eyes. "It's basic survival." We rearranged ourselves awkwardly, spreading one blanket beneath us and wrapping the others around both of us. Lisa's back pressed against my chest, my arms around her waist. I tried to keep a respectful distance, but there was no way to share warmth without being close. Very close. Her hair smelled like lavender. I wondered if she could feel my heart pounding. "Matt would laugh if he could see us now," she said, trying to break the tension. I wasn't so sure. "Maybe. You two have been friends forever," she continued. "Since what, 3rd grade?" "2nd, I corrected. Mrs. Peterson's class. He let me borrow his Ninja Turtles pencil when mine broke." Lisa laughed softly. "That sounds like Matt." The conversation helped distract us from both the cold and our uncomfortable proximity. We talked about Matt, about growing up in our town, about Lisa's job as a high school counselor and my work as an environmental engineer. "I always thought you'd leave," she said after a while. "Go to a big city." "I thought about it," I admitted. "But something kept me here." She shifted slightly, turning her head to look at me. Our faces were inches apart. "What was that?" I couldn't tell her the truth, that I'd stayed because of her, because even seeing her occasionally around town was better than never seeing her at all. "I guess I'm just a small-town guy at heart," I said instead. She studied my face in the candlelight. "I don't believe you." Before I could respond, a deafening crack split the air, followed by a crash that shook the entire cabin. Lisa screamed, clutching my arms. "What the hell was that?" I gasped. "I think." She whispered, "I think part of the roof just collapsed." We moved to the small bedroom, the only room without windows and farthest from the damaged section of roof. The door wouldn't close completely, it had always stuck in humid weather, but it was better than nothing. The bed was narrow, barely big enough for one person, let alone two. We didn't even discuss it, just climbed in together, piling all the blankets on top of us. This time, we faced each other, our bodies pressed together from chest to knees. "Are you scared?" Lisa asked, her voice small. "Terrified," I admitted. "But we're going to be okay." "How can you be sure?" I wasn't, of course. The storm showed no signs of letting up. The roof damage meant snow was getting in. We had no heat, no water, and no way to call for help. "Because I won't let anything happen to you," I said, surprising myself with the fierceness in my voice. Lisa's eyes widened. She reached up, her cold fingers touching my cheek. "Jake." The candle flickered, casting shadows across her face. In that moment, she wasn't my best friend's mom. She was just Lisa, beautiful, strong, vulnerable Lisa. "I need to tell you something," she whispered. What I was trying to say earlier. My heart pounded so hard I was sure she could feel it. "What is it?" "I've watched you grow up from a gangly kid into an amazing man. I've seen how kind you are, how smart, how loyal. And somewhere along the way, I started to feel something I shouldn't feel. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. I know it's wrong," she continued. "I'm too old for you. I'm Matt's mom, for God's sake. But if we don't make it through tonight, I couldn't bear for you not to know that I..." The candle sputtered and went out, leaving us in total darkness. I don't know which of us moved first. All I know is that suddenly her lips were on mine, cold at first, then warming. My hands tangled in her hair as years of longing poured out of me. "I've wanted this for so long," I confessed when we finally broke apart. Since I was 16. She laughed softly. I was 31 then. That would have been very inappropriate. And now? Now I'm 48, and you're 35, and we're both adults who might freeze to death tonight, she said. I think we're past inappropriate. We kissed again, more urgently this time. The cold receded, replaced by a different kind of heat. For a few precious hours, we forgot about the storm, about the damaged roof, about Matt and what he might think. We just existed, together, in the darkness. I woke to silence. The howling wind had stopped. Weak gray light filtered through the cracks around the door. Lisa was still asleep, her head on my chest, her breathing deep and even. I watched her for a moment, memorizing every detail of her face. Carefully, I slipped out of bed and made my way to the main room. The damage wasn't as bad as I'd feared. A section of roof about 3 feet square had given way, letting in snow that had piled on the floor. But the storm had passed. Outside, the world was transformed. Everything was white, pristine, beautiful in its way. The sun glinted off the snow, nearly blinding me. And in the distance, I heard the most beautiful sound, engines. Snowmobiles. Lisa. I called. Lisa, wake up. Someone's coming. She appeared in the doorway, wrapped in a blanket, her hair tousled. What? Listen, I said, pointing outside. Her face lit up as she heard the engines. Then, slowly, the light faded. Reality was setting in. Jake, she said quietly, about last night. I knew what she was going to say. That it was a mistake. That we got caught up in the moment, thinking we might die. That we should forget it ever happened. Don't, I said. Please don't say it was nothing. She looked at me for a long moment. It wasn't nothing. But it can't be something, either. Matt. Matt is my best friend, I finished. I know. The snowmobiles were getting closer. Soon we'd be rescued, returned to our normal lives. The spell would be broken. We have time, I said suddenly. Time to figure this out. If you want to. Lisa's eyes filled with tears. She stepped forward, taking my hands in hers. I want to. God help me, I do. The sound of engines stopped. Voices called out. Our rescuers had arrived. Lisa squeezed my hands once, then let go. For now, this has to stay between us. I nodded, understanding. Our secret. She smiled, a smile full of promise and possibility. For now. If you felt something watching this story, please hit that like button and subscribe to see more content that touches your heart. I pour my soul into these stories and your support means everything. I'd love to know where you're watching from. Drop your country in the comments below and let's see how far this story has traveled. Until next time, remember that sometimes the most beautiful beginnings happen in the darkest moments.